page. Welcome back to the Convo Couch, ladies and gentlemen. I am Pastor Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Johnny Sue is on the ones and two, and some friends are in the studio. Hi, Eva. What's going on? You've just been called out on live stream over here. She's with us hanging on out.
She is.
So, fam, we got a show today. It's Wacky Wednesday, I'm calling it, because there are some people who done lost his mind. But we have a little fun thing to start off with first, right?
Yes.
I believe Bernard got a great endorsement.
Bernard was endorsed by the Hulk.
No, he was not.
Yes, he was.
Show me proof.
I will.
Okay. Wait, which Hulk?
The Incredible Hulk.
Wait, there's three Hulks. There's Ang Lee the Hulk, there's Ed Norton the Hulk, there's
No.
Lou Ferrigno the Hulk, and there's Mark
No.
Ruffalo the Hulk.
There's Mark Ruffalo the Hulk.
Oh,
yes.
so the Hulk. My
Hulk
bad. Here,
Hulk.
play a little bit.
That just keeps coming up to me and popping out to me is Bernie Sanders. The key issues that most of the leaders in the field are either espousing or working around the edges are healthcare, not taking money from big corporations and PACs, fighting climate change, some sort of debt relief for college students, free education. People considered those things to be pie in the sky in 2016, right? Now they are the norm because Bernie stood and walked into those issues that he knew were the right issues for the American working class. So I proudly and humbly throw my support to Bernie Sanders. He will make an excellent and historic president in the very moment we are ready for it and need it most. He is the original progressive. In my humble opinion, he has earned it. We need a movement leader. We need a movement organizer. We need a leader who's actually one of us. And Bernie is one of us. And he's always been one of us.
Of course, you know, I go way back with Bernie Sanders. And I still love the guy, and I love what he's doing.
I grew up in a factory town, what was probably one of the biggest industrial hubs in the United States at the turn of the century, which is Kenosha, Wisconsin. I'm a second-generation Italian-American. I grew up in those working-class neighborhoods where my neighbors worked at American Motors or Anchor Hocking or Anaconda Brass. I saw those companies close down, and I saw my community devastated. The thing about the working class people that I grew up with was they had a real kind of moral center to them. I think that's partially why Bernie resonates with me, because he feels like those people. I believe in him, and he is the people that I grew up with. He is those working class people. And I know that he's got their backs because that's who he is. That's where he came from. I had $500,000 in debt. I had an acoustic neuroma, which was a benign cancerous growth that sits on the base of the brain in the ear canal, auditory canal. And I lost my hearing. And I was in the hospital next to people who had much worse things than me, who the nurses were coming in and making sure that they could pay for their hospital stay. I saw firsthand how devastating that is. If I wasn't lucky, I'd be doomed. Healthcare is an absolute human right, especially if we're living in the richest country in the world. Bernie's ethos is us, not me. He knows that his power is derived from us. He'll be the first to tell you that this is not about me, it's about you. And he's not gonna leave us on the White House lawn once he's in that office. He's gonna take this momentum to push through the changes that we all know that need to be made. He's the original progressive, he's OP.
You down with OP?
I love that.
P?
OP.
OPB? Original Progressive Bernie?
The OGOP.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's important because, like we've talked about here before, Hollywood is an industry where, you know, your agent will tell you you can't be political. You shouldn't be political, etc. We'll drop you, blah, blah, blah. Mark Ruffalo is one of the few in Hollywood, like Susan Sarandon, that has stood up and fought for people based on compassion, on empathy, and, you know, knowing he's lucky, has actually brought it back towards the people and said, look, we need to just not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. And it's important. that he's endorsed Bernie Sanders. And I think it also shows, again, this momentum where more and more people are seeing his ideas as more mainstream, like he was talking about, rather than back in 2016 when people were like, oh, this is a radical communist socialist guy. And then when you go around in Florida and you're talking about Bernie Sanders, people were like, what's wrong with you? You're crazy. And that's no longer the case. So,
Have you ever seen Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind?
Of course I have.
All right, that's the Mark Ruffalo I remember when he was small, skinny, with the glasses before he became the Hulk. So if you haven't seen Eternal Sunshine, Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind, have you? It was by this director named Michel Gondry, and he was a really cool director. You have to see that movie. It's one of the classics. Mark Ruffalo did a good job on it.
He did.
He really did. That was when I'm like, who is this guy? You started paying attention to Mark Ruffalo after that. On the Facebook, Art Webb, how you doing, Sean? Soboleski and Tony Humanik are all hanging out with Mike Wilson on the Convo Couch YouTube. 70 people starting to pile on in. Guys, like, share, subscribe. They are blacklisting us as can be. They are shadow banning us. We need your help. Tony watches closely. Kim Harden, Schultze 100, Cam Schwarmy Kate. How you doing?
Hi, Kate.
And Saul Construct, always hanging out. Ren Stan, we love you guys. The Outsider Report, Freethinker 59. And over on the MCSC Network, they're beating over the Convo Couch, guys. Get that out there. They got 90 people almost there. Larry Jenny, how you doing? Great White Shart. Love that name. I don't want to talk about that anymore. Careful with the laughing. Dionysus, Mega Pork, Crystal, Natalie Chavez, what's up?
Hey,
Randy, Toby Davis, and Mega R Book. Okay, fam.
So
Yesterday on the show.
Yesterday,
We had somebody reply. You guys kind of taught me Twitter on the live stream. Thank you very much.
Pasta learns Twitter.
Thank
Thank you, Ron Placone.
People are losing out there. They are losing it, fam. I put together a little segment called They Are Losing It because as the progressives are winning and the truth is winning, some people are getting a little erratic. We talked about the establishment getting erratic. We talked about people around them becoming erratic. So let's start this segment. So on the count of 3, they're losing it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. They're losing it. All right, you got to do better than that. And over there, please. 1 more. 1, 2, 3. They're losing it. So let's talk about Anna Kasparian.
Oh, God. Do we have to?
We have to because she's losing it, fam.
Okay.
Schenk's over there doing his little thing. You know, he's running for Congress. He's the only progressive running in that area. So it looks like Anna's taking over, and she's going full-blown establishment smear mode.
Interesting.
Yes, so this guy Jeffrey Denton said, we all know that for a fact that the mainstream media lies about Bernie, but the notion that they tell the truth about Tulsi Gabbard is utterly ridiculous. You can't get more progressive than resigning as vice chair of the DNC because people taking unlimited dirty money like pundits. We all remember that. She got up, she walked out. So Anna responded. She said she didn't resign from the DNC on principle. She was already having issues with the Dems due to her constant criticism of the left, not referring to terrorist acts as radical Islamic terrorism. She also refused to condemn Modi in the House resolution following the slaughter of Muslims.
So we talked about this yesterday, kind of like how, you know, she's cherry picking here and she's completely ignoring the fact that we do need to call radical Islamic terrorism that so we can differentiate it from actual normal Islamic beliefs. The same way we differentiate Christians from Christian fundamentalists, right? It's the same exact thing.
Yep.
So why would you and also why would you be so arrogant to assume that you were going to know the reasons why Tulsi stepped down? Like, are you Tulsi? Are you her family?
She had inside information, fam.
How do you know? You know, Tulsi has said, I stepped down because I believed in Bernie's message. I believed he had way better foreign policy than Hillary Clinton. She actually just said that recently on Joe Rogan. And she brought him up, like, you know, kind of giving him credit and talking about why she did what she did. And so I don't know why Anna thinks there's another backstory. I mean, she's almost acting like it's bad to criticize the Democratic Party. That's what it's coming across as to me. Like, we need to criticize the Democratic Party. We need to criticize even people we love, like Bernie, like Tulsi, because they're not always going to be right. And this is why the people are here to hold them accountable. This idea that we don't criticize people just because they're part of the same party we are, or because they, you know, we even like them, is ridiculous. And she was on Fox News a lot criticizing Obama because it was mainly Hillary Clinton's foreign policy that was very pro-war that she was criticizing. So really, I have no problems with her going on these channels and doing that, because CNN and MSNBC aren't going to let you do that.
Absolutely. They're pro-war as can be. We are defined by the beauty of our weapons, says Brian Williams on MSNBC. That's why you have to go on shows like Fox and Tucker sometimes.
Right.
Because there are some non-interventionists there. And let's be straight about this. We talked about this yesterday. I made a tweet back. She answered that back. When she was referring to the radical Islamic terrorism, it was about what? Sycamore timber, right?
Timber sycamore.
Timber sycamore. Do I always do it right? No, I think it's sycamore timber.
No, it's timber sycamore.
It's timber sycamore. Okay, whatever the case may be, we funded the craziest maniacs, the highest of the jihadists, okay, the ones that are often to go and cause chaos in Syria. Obama was being very disingenuous when he was calling them moderate rebels. He was lying to the American people about what was really going on, keeping them in the shadows, and she was calling them out. She was talking about this one particular situation, these people that were funded in Syria. That's who the radical Islamic terrorists are. And not to mention, Tulsi Gabbard was on record when she left what was going on, how Bernie Sanders was being cheated. She was very vocal when she was stepping down and why she was stepping down. You can't rewrite history. You're losing it, okay? So on the count of three, before we get to the next one, fam, and I'll let you do the next one. 1, 2, 3. They're losing it. All right, you have to participate on the count of three. 1, 2, 3.
You're so annoying.
They're losing it. Who else?
You're so annoying. So Michael Brooks is my favorite person in the world with a tracksuit.
Yes.
Tulsi, the first one to bring up Pete's insane comments, and now she should drop out and endorse Bernie. Here's the thing. As a Bernie supporter, I don't need to tell Tulsi to drop out and endorse Bernie. Like, she already did that before. Why are we going to assume that right now, when the race is still heating up, that she's going to do that? Number one. Number two, I honestly see her as an individual that is entitled to run, and her supporters are entitled to support her. And she's a progressive, so I really don't have a problem with her running. I support Bernie, but I also believe in Tulsi's foreign policy. Yeah. I think her foreign policy brings a lot to the table. Also, her attacking Google, going after these intelligence agencies, going after the DNC, not to mention what she did to expose Kamala Harris and her record, what she did to expose Pete Buttigieg, what she's going to continue to do as long as she's allowed, right, in these debates. Yeah. What she's going to continue to do to expose a lot of these politicians. Hillary Clinton is another one that she went after. I mean, I think she's adding so much more than she is taking away. Yeah. I don't really think she's, taking much away, because a lot of people are like, well, she's taking Bernie's votes. I mean,
that's not true.
The votes she's taking away, you're all assuming that these Tulsi supporters would have all voted for Bernie, and that's not necessarily the case. Many of them did in 2016. But they were not okay with his foreign policy, or for certain issues like not standing up for Julian Assange, or whatever the case may be, whatever their priorities may be, they weren't okay with it. And so that's why she sort of adds, and also she, more than others, more than everybody, I think Bernie also pulls Republicans and independents, but Tulsi Gabbard is pulling a lot of those very conservative votes, and that's where she's getting a lot of these votes from, non-voters, libertarians. Yep. And so that's not taking away from Bernie either. In fact, if they were to combine their efforts when we get to that point in the convention, I think that would be the way to win, because I believe Elizabeth Warren is the compromise. I believe she's controlled opposition. I feel like this is how they're going to do this. They're going to do it to push Elizabeth Warren there as a compromise. And so
well, it's kind of like the votes for Tulsi Gabbard are kind of like what Andrew Yang said about his UBI to us. It's transportable. They go with you. In other words, these are votes that Bernie would not necessarily get because of the labels, whatnot, and some of the votes he would actually take away from Trump. But at the end of the day, we get to that point. Those votes go with you, and then boom, it helps get him over the top if possible. Right. But the reason why we say that Michael Brooks is losing it more than anything is not just his attacks on Tulsi that keep continuing on. It's the vote shaming. Okay, this tactic since 2016, Sam Cedar, Michael Brooks, they've been doing this vote shaming shit.
They were vote shaming the Green people,
terrible.
The Green Party.
This tactic is counterproductive. It comes back to haunt you. You got to stop with the vote shaming. They've been doing it since Bill Maher, this whole clan of people that think it's okay. It doesn't help us. It's very bad. You're losing it. they're losing it.
Right.
You know who else is losing it? 1, 2, 3. They're losing it. All right, I'll give you that one over there, Yvonne. Next one, better participation. Chuck Schumer.
Oh God, he's
Chuckles.
been losing it. He's the worst.
He is doubling down on the red baiting, fam. He said Putin admits he wants everybody to falsely blame Ukraine for the Russian interference in our democracy. So why are the Republicans just repeating his debunked talking points?
Wow.
Okay, Chuckles Schumer, how long are we going on with this red bait thing? I mean, it's making them look so bad. I was listening to a podcast on YouTube. The moderate to independent people are so turned off by this Russiagate thing, and they're doubling down on it. They are losing complete control. People are starting to understand what nefarious acts are going on with the Democratic Party, especially when it comes to Ukraine and this impeachment. And these people, they're just losing it, fam.
Exactly. And Russiagate was proven to be pretty much a conspiracy theory. And it's still funny now they're trying to make Ukraine-gate a thing.
Yes.
They're moving on from Russiagate to Ukraine-gate to whatever gate they need. And as long as the attention is taken away from the Democratic Party's lack of organization, lack of, connectedness to their public, and of course their fault for getting Donald Trump in the White House by not nominating Bernie Sanders, etc. So people want us to get over that. People are like, oh, why don't you guys get over the whole 2016? You need to stop talking about it. But they don't let go of it. So how do you want us to move on if you continue with the whole Russiagate and red baiting, which of course TYT was also a large part of. I used to watch them religiously.
That's
I used to be a huge fan. That was the main reason I stopped watching when they kind of, went, oh yeah, we have to, support Hillary Clinton in this certain way and extreme way. Like, it wasn't like, oh, begrudgingly. It was very much like, yeah, like, ho, let's get behind her. And it was like hard for me to watch. And then, the rest is history, as you know, with Russiagate. So
why is people stealing my stuff? I'm the first one to call him Chuck the Schmuck. Nah, not really. I mean, that's gone around for a long time because there was a lot of Chucks who were schmucks, and Chuck Schumer is one. And it's crazy to think about it, fam. This is the #1 leading Democrat in the Senate. This guy right here, and like it says, deny, delay, do anything you can to talk about what's really going on with the Democratic Party. The fact that you just, I mean, and like I said, that. I think when it came to this impeachment, they had no choice. Donald Trump was going to the one area where he was going to try to clear his name, where he knew the Democrats were caught red-handed, not with just their emoluments. We'll talk about Adam Schiff and Igor Pasternak, Nancy Pelosi with Paul Pelosi and the energy company, Hunter Biden with Joe Biden, John Kerry with Burisma, all these guys. It's the fact that that's where CrowdStrike is. That's where they got these guys bragging that they helped the Hillary Clinton campaign go after Paul Manafort. So not only was he trying to clear his name, I don't think he was doing it in the best interest of fighting corruption. I think he wanted to really go out there and kind of clear his name and rub it in the face of the Democrats. So to try and distract Chuck the Schmuck, Paul, Nancy Pelosi, and Adam Schiff went to freaking impeachment on this thing. And, I spoke to Kevin Zeese the other day. I texted him. He wants to come back when this thing is done and talk more about this. I would love to see this thing go to the Senate. I would love to see Adam Schiff on the stand. I would love to see Nancy Pelosi on the stand, Joe Biden on the stand. I would love to see Barack Obama on the stand.
Oh, yeah,
It's not going to happen with Barack. It might not happen with Joe, but it will happen with Adam Schiff. If he gets to the Senate, Adam Schiff will take the stand. And fam, they're losing it.
They are.
They're losing it.
They're losing it.
That was the segment.
No, it's not.
Oh, we got one more?
Oh,
is that it right there?
So,
it's not highlighted. I'm sorry.
Cenk is also.
Wait a second. We got to do it. They're losing it. 1, 2, 3. They're losing it. All right, that's not good over there. 1, 2, 3. They're losing it.
I refuse to participate.
Okay, go ahead.
In your silliness.
There's the music.
So
maybe we'll get a dolphin.
So Sophia got this clip, and of course, okay, so this isn't the entire context, right? He's making fun. He's making a point here. But
was
Johnny,
that the N-word one?
Yeah. Do you just want to play some of it? I want people to hear this because
this is pretty bad. But this is
TYT. This isn't us.
The N-word 6 times. You're gonna hear it for yourself in a second. They're never gonna catch me using that word nigger. Except when I say it 6 more times in this recording. No, I'm not talking about the niggers with no souls. I'm talking about regular niggers. She's not the wrong kind of nigger.
Okay.
She's just the kind of nigger we call
I
nigger.
can't even hear it without. Yeah, we can't even hear it without like feeling so uncomfortable and so disturbed. So obviously he apologized for this a while ago. He said, you know, he was sorry. He used to be a certain way back then, et cetera, et cetera. The whole point I'm trying to make, though, is that the people at TYT have been instrumental in smearing Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, they have been leading on it. And if someone like Tulsi Gabbard was found to have said those things, even if she had apologized, even if she had, you know, said, oh, I changed a lot since, they would crucify her. They would crucify her. But people are making excuses for Cenk because, oh, he started a PAC. Okay, so he started a PAC, but those candidates ran their own campaigns. AOC ran her own campaign that was extremely well organized, extremely well. It was just well done. I mean, it was just well executed. Like she got herself elected by her people. It wasn't like Cenk just, you know, put the magic touch on there. And I do value what TYT did, especially in the beginning, as far as spreading, like talking about Bernie Sanders when nobody else would talk about Bernie Sanders. That is something that I will always be thankful to them for. But what I want to point out here is the hypocrisy, because if we recall, you know, Tulsi Gabbard's opinions on the LGBT issues when she was 20 years old, they went at it like about it. Towards her, right? And so it's just kind of hypocritical to me that these same people are like so quick to say, oh, like she had these views and she just should be canceled. These are all the problems with her and this and Modi and all this stuff. But they have this guy who's now running for Congress, this network who has taken 20 million from Jeffrey Katzenberg, who is a Clintonite.
Yeah.
And they still it's okay. We give it a pass, right? It's whatever.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's unfair. Like we have to be fair across the board. If we can forgive him for this, we can forgive her for having, you know, conservative views when she was 20 years old, and she numerous times came out and apologized. But also, not only that, her legislation and her record show very, very like good standing with the LGBTQ community. She has several prominent LGBTQ supporters, many of them who not just watch the show, but really, really like her. And they have constantly talked about her legislation. And that's really what matters. So my whole point is, can we not be hypocrites? Can we you like all hold everybody accountable? I mean, I can forgive Cenk for saying something like that.
Well,
but
is it the money thing that really, really turns people? Because that's the thing we have to talk about. Because,
right.
You know, for me, I'm so passionate about supporting Tulsi Gabbard because I'm anti-war, I'm civil liberties, I'm election integrity, and I don't want to see my politicians or my candidates take that money, those PAC money from those rich people. Now, the thing that makes me really sad is that I thought TYT shared those values when we started watching it. But once they got that check, it's like they were willing to play politics. They were willing to play games. They were willing to change and go away from their core values. And that's where we're at today. And that's why I can never trust Cenk, is because they took that money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If they took that money then, what's going to stop him from taking that money when he becomes a congressperson?
Right.
I mean, really, to tell you the truth,
it's like
he's never
a
explained
level
that part
of
it.
integrity, right? Like, it's like, okay, so what's to say? And if you want to separate it, we can. What's to say that you're not going to act the same way as you did in your business as you're doing, you know, in your political career? And that's something that is that's why it's iffy.
Yeah.
Also, I don't like the carpet bagging. I'm with Tina on this. I don't like the idea that you don't live in the district you represent. By the way, I think he's going to have a really tough chance just regarding the fact that he is in a Republican district.
Yep.
And the whole kind of identity politics sort of campaign that I'm sure he's going to run isn't really going to bode well with the majority of those people in that area. I mean, they're already, and and I hate to like, you know, be on the side of like the Ryan Skolnicks of the world where they're like promoting Christy Smith or whatever her name is. I think that's her name. But I'm not even on that side either. I'm just saying there's not a good candidate. Yeah. And is he the better candidate? Yeah. But does that mean, you know, we continuously have to choose lesser of evils? No. So I'm just going to stay out of that race. But I'm just sick of people like, for instance,
I got to tell you something.
Lauren Steiner, loving on Cenk, but like, constantly criticizing Tulsi. It's like, come on, you guys. Like, let's be fair.
The last time that district had a debate, when they had all those candidates, Katie Hill, and I forgot those other two people.
Jess Phoenix and
somebody else, Alyssa Milano, moderated their debate. I think that Cenk Uyghur's agent and Alyssa Milano's agents used to work together, but they're still somewhat associated.
Well, it's UTA.
So look, UTA and CAA.
They're
so
like,
look
yeah.
for the agents to get together and start up a debate to moderate.
That's a whole other thing. Like, the agents are now like almost in a way like these
they
lobbyists.
Connect everybody. Yes,
They're like they're
political lobbyists.
It's all connected, and it's like I don't trust people with these sort of connections to these very, very problematic agencies.
Yeah,
so that's a whole other thing.
We have some super chat contributions, and thank you for the super chat contribution, Renstan, as it is always appreciated on the couch. Hollywood didn't start as reactionary. It became that way after the 1940s McCarthy scare that destroyed unions for publishers, Schrecker and Horn. Thank you, Renstan. We'll have to take a look into that. I love our audience. They're so educated, and they give us so much good stuff to look at. Super Friday is Friday. You ain't got no job. No, it's not Friday. That's this couple days. Why didn't pasta work out with Tulsi? Oh, I was going to call. My app was broken on my phone.
No, you know what he was doing? He was watching football and eating a meat sandwich. I
couldn't get to the thing. My thing wasn't working.
I told Tulsi, and she was upset.
I know. She called me out in front of everybody, ladies and gentlemen.
That was scary. I thought she was going to go after you. She
was
pointed
like,
at
you. I was like, damn it. I know
like,
exactly.
boom.
As soon as she said you, I'm like, damn. She's going to come at me for not being there today. But next time, is what I said. Rain check. Right. That's right. Thank you for the super chat contribution. Denise Gibson, 53. Hello from Breezy, Illinois. What's up?
What's up?
Unsubbed from TYT. Why would you do that? Tulsi has added much to the debates when given the chance to speak and challenge the fake shills.
Right.
You're telling me let me tell you something. I talked about this the other day. I talk about it often. This time around, I thought Bernie Sanders was going to be running, and I was like, okay, let's get back on that Bernie train. Let's do the grind. Let's talk about inequality. And I know this really doesn't mean a lot, but there's like an excitement value that Tulsi Gabbard, an interesting value that she's brought to this whole thing.
Yeah,
because she comes from this different perspective. So it's this unknown that I wasn't looking forward to. I didn't think we would get the amp up against the regime change and the civil liberties, and we would have these angles of just Tulsi going after somebody every single time on stage, because I thought it would be a problem too. I said, if this time around in the debates, the primaries, Bernie Sanders is going to be careful how he attacks women,
right. That's the thing.
Goes after people.
That's the thing. He's been kind of handicapped by the whole identity politics left.
He has.
Because now he wasn't going to be able to go after Kamala Harris, so we're going to call him a racist. He wasn't able to go after Elizabeth Warren, they were going to call him a sexist. He wasn't going to be able to go after Pete Buttigieg because then he'd be a homophobe. And that's the thing. Yeah. Tulsi Gabbard is a woman of color who's a veteran and who went after all three of those people, and I'm sure she'll continue to go after Warren and Pete.
Yep.
Considering they're the two threats, and and I think that's something that has given her. She has the ability to do things that Bernie can't, and he's also being advised not to do by his campaign. And so, I mean, I can respect that, but we're lucky we have somebody like Tulsi to kind of expose that. And I mean, and I'm not, with respect to Tulsi, I'm not saying, like, she's like his lackey in any way, shape, or form. I think that's disrespectful, but I think it's awesome that we have somebody that adds that to it.
We got a neoliberal slayer walking around with a big old axe.
Tulsi the
We're lucky to have that. Off with their heads. Danny O'Brien, thank you for the super chat contribution. As it is always appreciated on the couch. Have a latte on me. It's my latte, thank you. What's the news on Tulsi qualifying for the next debate? Heard anything? I want her to kneecap Klobuchar, hashtag Buttigieg and Jimmy Dore. Go ahead.
So no, I love that Buttigieg segment from Jimmy. So I heard an hour ago that she made it, but I don't know. I haven't seen confirmation. Johnny, I don't know if any of you can find out if there's been confirmation. I have not seen.
Yeah. Well, there hasn't been. We are still on standby. I was kind of like looking into that today. I was like, the 19th is the debate, which is a Thursday night. It's taking place in Loyola Marymount. But I'm like kind of frozen on what to do and how to do it because they're now playing games with the polls. Okay.
Right.
So these polls are even more crooked than the actual voting systems we have. There is zero transparency on what they're doing, how they're doing it, and there's zero transparency on how the DNC decides. They just discredited a poll that had the same pollster, in other words, the people who run the poll from a different state.
Right.
The Boston Globe. They pulled it. No explanation whatsoever. Denise Gibson, 53, thank you for the Super Chat contribution, as it is always appreciated on the couch. Hey, Jai Gabbard, Tulsi's little sister is saying hi in the Super Chat. Okay, that's brother.
Brother.
That's Jai. That's my dog over there. Ain't the sister, it's my brother. Love me some Jai. Chai and Jai. I think we've gotten everybody's Super Chat, John.
Yeah, I
yes,
think
we have.
You
Thank you so much. There's 153 people watching on the Convo Couch YouTube, and on the MCSC network, we have 158. They're battling. Dan Campbell said, I donated to Cheng 2020 one time in gratitude for giving Kasparian a career, Hannah Cranston some training and experience, and for being right a few times, but that's all they get. So, Dan, you paid a little tribute to them for what they did.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm not trying to say they didn't add any value. I don't think that's what we're saying. They definitely did. But no longer, in my opinion.
And Dan Campbell, make sure you get over to the Convo Couch YouTube and subscribe. Natalie Chavez, Mata Peru, all you guys that are over there, we love you. You can watch them on either site, but we want to make sure you subscribe to us and the MCSC network. Same thing for you guys on the Convo Couch YouTube. Subscribe to the MCSC network. So, what comment I see? Next thing up, right here. Here we go.
No.
Oh, my bad.
No. Okay. So.
Right there.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to show somebody who constantly attacks Tulsi. He has a written policy apparently for Elizabeth Warren. He has written policy apparently for Bernie Sanders before, but he constantly goes and then attacks Bernie supporters for supporting Bernie Sanders. Then he constantly goes and attacks Tulsi Gabbard. The reason I want to show this is because Tulsi Gabbard is not considered a woman of color. Not only by this guy, but by the entire establishment, right? So here he calls her Tulsi is white by osmosis. That is extremely disrespectful, because even if you don't like Tulsi Gabbard, she's Samoan, like half Samoan, and her family is obviously they're obviously Samoan. I mean, it's very clear to me, and you shouldn't judge somebody. You don't have the ability to tell somebody that they're not of an ethnicity. That doesn't belong to you. That belongs to the person.
Yeah.
And I feel like with the Democratic Party going off on the identity politics train, right? So they love promoting identity politics like this right here.
This is Brittany Packett Cunningham. Who's Packett?
I don't know who she is.
Brittany, she's got a blue check mark, so she
must
be
be
good.
somebody. Right? But if you can go give Castro and Booker some money right now, no matter how much or little, it's an investment in a better, more diverse party, election, and country. So please just donate to Castro and Booker because they are people of color. Even though they're establishment. But it's just because they're people of color. And then this person completely ignores Tulsi Gabbard. So does Joy Reid. So does everybody else. They completely ignore the fact that she's a woman of color. And she never really plays it up either, because why? Like, she's leading with other, issues. But it's kind of like this double standard, again, that I'm seeing within the Democratic Party. They completely dismiss her.
You got this one, Amy Siskind,
yeah, you want to read this
right?
one?
Sad about Kamala Harris. She didn't drop out. She was pushed out by the sexism and racism of our media coverage. She also faced internalization of both in our base that we still need to grapple with. I mean, why do they always go to this thing? It's like they're so hypocritical, especially with this whole Tulsi Gabbard, the way they go attack her as if she's a white woman when she's a woman of color. She doesn't check off all the box, fam?
Right, apparently not. And Kamala Harris is half Jamaican and half Indian.
Kamala Harris is privileged, grew up in a nice neighborhood.
Right.
Tulsi has the least amount of money than anybody in this whole race. Okay, she's the least privileged. She comes from a poor family, poor to middle class, nothing entitlement. Where all these people on stage, they come from places of privilege, left and right.
And I just want to note, the reason I pulled that Kamala Harris thing is because now all of the media is saying, oh, Kamala Harris lost because she's a woman and the race loves white men and blah, blah, blah. To a degree, women have it more difficult. Yeah, absolutely. That is a fact. Women, like the race, it tells you that women have it more difficult. It's obvious because the country is still underneath that. However, Kamala Harris didn't lose because she was a woman or because she was black. Kamala Harris lost because she had a terrible record as a prosecutor. She was exposed by Tulsi Gabbard. She was exposed by black and brown people here in California who literally called her out about it. And then also the media,
Look it up.
the black media who also interviewed her and like noticed, okay, she's bullshitting on reparations. She doesn't stand for anything.
Wait, what did Hillary Clinton lose for then too? Because she was a woman, wasn't sexism and misogynism?
Exactly. It's still, I mean, this is a go-to when they can't take any sort of accountability.
Yeah.
So the moment we do that, we completely dismiss the actual issues with these candidates, and it just has to stop.
Yeah.
Fam.
Well, I think we got two more things we can get on out of here. Zimmerman, your boy is back in the news. This is your area. Now, you guys are from this area.
Yeah.
How far are you from where Zimmerman shot Trayvon Martin?
Literally like less, like
It's
6 miles.
6.5, 7 miles.
Yeah.
From, okay, yeah. I mean, well, he's back in the news, fam.
Well, he was from Stanford. So
Guess what's going on, fam? He is actually suing Trayvon Martin's family for $100 million.
That's ridiculous.
All right.
After shooting and killing the unarmed kid, we're going to sue the family because...
I don't know. Defamation of character, all this other BS. He actually even... I think
disgusting.
Didn't he auction off his gun, the gun that was used to kill Trayvon Martin? This guy is sick.
He's sick.
He should be behind bars. I don't understand it. It's the Florida laws, the
I know.
stand your ground laws. The dispatcher told him, don't follow him. That's a cop. A dispatcher is a cop, and when a cop says don't follow him, and you follow him, at the very least, there should have been a manslaughter charge. At the very least.
Yeah.
But Florida, the stand your ground laws, pushed by the NRA, lobbyists left and right, you get away because you felt fearful when you went after
by
somebody.
A kid with Skittles.
Skittles.
Yeah.
All right. We do have one last video too as well. I wanted to, fam, 50 years ago today, Fred Hampton was
This is
assassinated.
important.
This is
Yes.
great. Johnny put this up. I don't think you've heard this yet. This to me, I saw this years ago, and this is what it's all about. Watch this.
This is amazing.
What makes them mad about it? What makes them mad about it is that they had black people and white poor people and red poor people and Puerto Rican poor people and Latin American Puerto Rican people of poor people of all descent. They had them caught up in movements based on racism when the Black Panther Party stood up and said that we don't care what anybody says. We don't think you fight fire with fire best. We think you fight fire with water best. We're going to fight racism.
Can't hear it?
Okay, cool. We're going to find the one with a better audio, but I just want to touch on that while he does that. The little bit we've heard and what Pasta and I always talk about is we're not dismissing any sort of racial issue when we talk about not leading with identity politics. In fact, we are emphasizing it because we want it to be backed by the notion that we are all suffering under this system of late stage capitalism and this oligarchy, and they're pitting us against each other. They're pitting poor black people against poor white people. They're pitting poor white people against poor Latin American immigrants coming in. And this is how the establishment and the oligarchy continue doing the things they want to do.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, and this happened from the beginning. This is how they controlled the white people in the beginning when there was still slaves. They made them feel empowered that at least they weren't slaves, but they were still poor.
Yeah.
Right. And so this has been historical in the United States of America. And this is something that really like irritates the hell out of me when the Democratic Party is talking about black and brown people, Latin American people, tokenizing them for votes, but never doing anything for them.
Yeah.
Never actually going out of their way to change the system that has pretty much created now a country full of enslaved people, enslaved to debt, enslaved to just the high cost of living, to not even being secure, not having our civil liberties, like you're talking about, being forced to pay taxes to wars abroad where eventually millions of people die, and they all tend to be black and brown. So if we really want to say we care about, inclusivity, if we really want to be intersectional, we will constantly talk about race as also part of an arm of the system where it's race and economics that matter. And together, that is what we can actually fix. The moment that these people like Fred Hampton, Martin Luther King Jr., and Malcolm X started talking about the issues related to poverty with racism and including all people, the class divide, the class sort of, warfare
that's
sort of thing. That's when they were killed.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. When you think about the Civil War, most of the people who had slaves were big-time oligarchs back in the days. It was the rich. I think it was like 2% of the population in the South had slaves. So the Civil War, they actually fooled all these white people to fight against their own interests, because when slavery ended, then these people had to fill jobs and pay people.
Right.
So these poor people that were living in the South would actually have to get paid and get jobs for doing some work, because they didn't get that work and they had to live in their families, live off the land, because oligarchs were able to take slaves and get away without, paying people. Exactly. So it's like you're fighting against your own interests, and that's what they do. They pit us against each other. Here we go. He's got it. Let's do this. Is great.
They had black people and white poor people and red poor people and Puerto Rican poor people and Latin American Puerto Rican people of poor people of all descents. They had them caught up in movements based on racism when the Black Panther Party stood up and said that we don't care what anybody says. We don't think you fight fire with fire best. We think you fight fire with water best. We're going to fight racism, not with racism, but we're going to fight with solidarity. We said we're not going to fight capitalism with black capitalism, but we're going to fight it with socialism. We stood up and said we're not going to fight reactionary pigs and reactionary state's attorneys like this and reactionary state's attorneys like Hanrahan with any other reactions on our part. We're going to fight their reaction with all of us people to get together and have an international proletarian revolution. Right on. Right on. And that's saying all power to the people. Right on. That's saying that no matter what color you are, there's only two classes. And that's saying there's a class over here and there's a class over there. And the reason that this class over here has never did anything to get this class off its back, because this is lower, this is upper, this is the oppressed, this is the oppressor, this is the exploited, this is the exploiter. And these people in this class have divided themselves. They say, I'm black and I hate white people. I'm white and I hate black people. I'm Latin American and I hate hillbillies. I'm hillbilly and I hate Indians. So we fight amongst each other. And you've heard the testimony of pigs here. You got pigs of all colors, you know that. You got pigs that are white, you got pigs that are black, you even got pigs that are black and white. Propagating the same type of madness that this buffoon Hanrahan would be propagating if he were here himself. And why? Because they want to keep you to believing that I'm your enemy, and that everybody else that's black and that wears a lot of hair on his head and hair on his face, they want to keep you thinking that he's your enemy. Why? Because if ever you would disregard him and overlook him just for a minute and throw away that question of racism and start into dealing with a little logic, then there would be no one else you could attack other than Hanrahan, other than Davy, and other than Tricky Dicky Nixon.
Exactly.
Man,
I love that.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
That's okay. And I think George Carlin repeated that sentiment. It's like if they divide each other up so they can run off with all
And that's what they
the
continue
money.
to do.
All the resources.
And like I said, this sort of thing of blaming, like with Kamala Harris and all that stuff, that's superficial touches on race. That means nothing. That's what they want you to do. What they don't want you to do is tying it all together and understanding that we are all the oppressed, and there are two classes, the haves and the have-nots, and that's something we always need to echo, especially in this movement of not me, us. It's like it's all of us together. It's a movement. It's not about one versus the other. This is bigger than that.
Yeah.
So.
Chat contribution, get on out of here. Denise Gibson 53, as it is always appreciated on the couch.
Thank you, Denise.
Confirmation from Tulsi website. What confirmation that she made
Johnny,
it?
breaking news.
I looked on there. I couldn't find anything.
Really?
Yeah.
Jai Gabbard says, "Hey, Pasta, I'm cooking lasagna for 120 people right now. Any tips?" Yeah, use a lot of cheese. Okay, do your best, my man. Do your best. When I get to Hawaii one day, we'll do some cooking lessons. You can teach me some Hawaiian stuff. I'll teach you some Italian stuff. Super chat contribution to Blake. Balak Krishna Satri. Balak Krishna Satri. Thank you so much. Thanks for the great work, which I think is saying great work. Do you think Bernie would give Tulsi a role in an administration if he were to win? I worry that the Sarsars, Matt Duss types would keep her away. I think those guys. I think even what's the campaign manager to as well? Faiz. I think Matt Duss, Faiz, and Sarsars. They want to keep Tulsi far away. But here's the thing. For the primary, it's good to go this way right now because you got to win the Democratic primary. We understand that. Once the primary is over, I don't believe that Bernie Sanders can win without a Tulsi part of the cabinet, whether it be vice president, secretary of state, secretary of defense. I believe there has to be a combination of the guard for him to get over the top.
I believe he can still win, but I believe people will be extremely upset if she is not in that cabinet.
Why take the chance if you know she gets all these other people in the center, on the right, that takes away from Trump? You want to take that with you. And not for nothing, she does complete him. She is the Wallace to his FDR.
That's the thing. People need to touch up on Henry Wallace and what happened when FDR died and what happened with the creation of the superdelegates. This is like how this all came about, right? I feel like history repeats itself, and it's repeating itself again.
Yep.
In this coming election, because what the thing is, Bernie Sanders is older. He needs to build, like we've said before on the show, other leaders, and he's created a movement of leaders, but people to be able to go after him, to take over after him, right? I think Tulsi is one of those people that could be in the future somebody that does that, of course, it kind of echoing similar. She's a different candidate. I'm not saying she's Bernie, but she, echoing some of the same policies. And I think it's a different kind of thinking. It's a more progressive sort of wing. And I see that in the future. Now, as far as what you say about, whether the campaign, yes, there are people in the campaign that really, really don't like her. But there are people in the campaign that do.
Yeah.
And there are people in the campaign that, understand, even if they don't understand her anti-war and her foreign policy, and her voice is very much needed. And, and here's the thing. Any sort of tying to Elizabeth Warren is only going to hurt Bernie Sanders. And I sincerely believe that. I feel she is 100% a controlled opposition there to push him away. And we need to stand against that. All of us Bernie supporters need to make sure that the right people are there representing Bernie as delegates, because we don't want a repeat of a lot of that situation happened in 2016 where people were like, oh, no, I'm going to switch to be a Hillary delegate. Nope. That's the way they win. That's the way they rig this. They're not going to rig this with the people's vote. They're going to rig this that way. And so I 100% think that I genuinely think Bernie would. I just I think it's up to Tulsi too. She's her own person.
It depends on the role that he's going to offer her. We know she's not going to just take a symbolic role.
Right.
She's either involved, she's making decisions when she's appointed to whatever, or she's not going. And that's just Tulsi Gabbard. She's always been that way. Denise Gibson, 53, thank you for the super chat contribution. Says confirmation making the December debate. I hope so. I want to make sure we're going to triple check that when we're done.
I checked that. It's so far it only says that she got the donor requirement, but I've been searching all the news articles and everything. There's nothing.
Twitter?
I haven't checked Twitter, but
okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll triple confirm it. We have to get on out of here, ladies and gentlemen.
Real quick, I got a couple things to
show.
Ahead. Give me 1 second here.
Oh, you're gonna play that video? You love that video. That video is hysterical.
Well, there's a couple things I want to show here. So, quick rundown. So someone made this video real quick. Biden.
Oh God.
And by the way, I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach into the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap. And
so that was that. Someone made a
That's funny.
Cartoon of it. I wanted to show this. Here is a soldier kind of doing another speech to other veterans and soldiers.
The Marines and the Air Force and the Navy, that you have the absolute right to refuse to take part in these criminal wars, and that's a right that all of you should exercise. You have no reason to go put your life on the line and kill and die for profit. We've been to Iraq, we've been to Afghanistan, and we know what these wars are really about. And we joined the military for many reasons. Because we need a college education, because we need a job, because we need health care. and then we join the military, and they tell us that our enemies are poor people in caves in Afghanistan, or poor people in deserts of Iraq. But we've been to those countries, and we know that our enemies are not other poor people abroad. Our enemies are the people that laid us off from our jobs, that denied us health care, that make it impossible to get an education. Our enemies are not in the poorest countries on the planet, but right here in the richest one. The Marines and the Air Force.
Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just want to talk about. We got anything else, Johnny?
Yeah, I got a couple.
My bad.
Go ahead. I got a couple things.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So, and then here's my "Why aren't you in jail already?" segment here.
Why aren't you in jail? Everybody together. Okay, maybe not.
Pasta.
Sorry.
Yeah. So Hillary on Howard Stern today said that the
Jesus.
Russians were working to elect Bernie in 2016. He hurt me. There's no doubt about it. She said, Bernie, because he didn't endorse her quickly enough.
Ridiculous.
I hope he doesn't do it again to whoever gets a nomination. Once is enough.
Jesus Christmas.
Oh, and then there was this picture I saw that was really funny.
Hillary Clinton, how can we miss you if you don't go away? Go away.
She's not.
She's getting a lot of emails, fam. She wants to run again.
First of all, she's arrogant because she's assuming that Bernie's not going to get the nomination, right? She's like, I hope he doesn't do it again. Okay. And then she's also was talking about how people keep pushing her to run, you guys.
Oh, please.
People are still pushing her to run.
Johnny?
Yeah, a couple more things. Here's a part of this segment also is this clip right here.
I think a lot of what he churned up in the primary campaign was very hurtful in the general election against me. And I see him doing the same thing. I see him, with his supporters. He doesn't disown the things they say about, some of my favorite Democrats, people like Kamala Harris, who is out there speaking up and speaking out, and she's being attacked from the left. Enough. If you don't want to support Democrats, then go somewhere else. I think.
Oh, really? Okay, Hillary. If you were actually the Democratic Party and actually followed your party platform, maybe Bernie Sanders wouldn't be running for president because somebody else would be doing an okay job. And also, let's not forget the fact that Bernie Sanders, literally to our own dismay, went and campaigned for her, literally hugging her, like more. And in fact, Hillary sent a thank you letter to him and Jane. I don't know if we have it, but we've shown it before.
Yeah, we've shown it before.
Where it's literally them, thank you, Bernie, and Jane, blah 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 blah, and there's a list of all the events that Bernie campaigned for Hillary for. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This woman, she's such a narcissistic, sociopathic rot
She is.
fungus of the Democratic Party.
You said that. I'm just going to agree with you because I don't want to be a misogynistic white male.
And also, we don't want to get Clinton body counted.
Exactly. Right now, it's Hillary. I'm with her. Next one, John.
Yeah. If you're on Instagram, then follow the Bull Moose Note. They post some good stuff there. He's very anti-war.
Love that.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So Mayor Pete.
You went to Walker.
Mayor Pete.
You went to Walker.
You don't like Walker?
Walker.
He's
I just love his name, Walker.
Well, he brought
He's
up some
okay.
good news
Yes.
here. Some interesting news. It's not really good. In 2017, a few weeks ago, before the holidays, South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg ordered the demolition of a homeless camp under an overpass. It was December, yet city workers seized all of the residents' possessions, including blankets.
Let's
take a look at the video.
Oh.
Hi, we are outside here at the Main Street Bridge. They're about to evict the homeless. They have this huge truck. Over there is a dump truck. They say they have a right to do this, but it's illegal. They are going to dismantle this camp illegally. These are the men from code enforcement that are doing it. Here they are taking everything at once. All their possessions, their blankets,
off right now.
Well,
that is disgusting.
So when I did the Pete Buttigieg video, I slightly touched on this, but this video I didn't know about. This
probably
is,
just surfaced.
Yeah. Well, this is like he's not only did that. I mean, he's worked with like pretty much getting people out of their homes, like with developers as well in South Bend. He is a terrible candidate, you guys. He is awful.
And when asked direct questions, he says, our number one priority is to restore the integrity of the United States. I want an actual foreign policy position, Pete. He never answers anything. He's nothing but platitudes.
All right. Yeah, that was it for me.
Okay. So special shout out to Saul, Construct, and there's some guy over here saying, hey, man, the Outsider Report, give me a shout out. Looks like a new channel. We'll have to take a look at it. But anyways, we got to get out of here. Make sure you go to our Rockfin, our Patreon if you can. Thank you so much to all the Super Chat contributions today and all the work you guys are doing. I know we have to get out of here tomorrow. I promise you, I'm reading the Patreon's name. I'll have it for you tomorrow. For Pasta Jardula.
I'm Fiorella.
Jonny Sue and Eva Crowder in the studios.
Convo out.
Peace.
Bye, everybody. Help us out. Rockfin.